Fallout 4's settlement system is supposed to be about rebuilding America and helping the Commonwealth, with dozens of unique settlers with actual names, backstories, and hidden traits. So that's why today, we are going to discover those ones that are so well hidden that even after a decade, some remain a secret to most players. Corporate Tragedy, the Vault-Tec rep. You know him, the guy at your door minutes before the bombs drop, selling you a Vault 111 spot with peak salesman energy. Professional, chipper, desperate for commission, rambling about those steak knives Vault-Tec promised after 20 years of service. Steak knives he never got because the world ended 4 minutes later. Here's the kicker. When the bombs drop and you're sprinting to Vault 111, you can see him in the background, begging the guards to let him in, or screaming that he works for Vault-Tec, that he sold these spots, that he deserves entry. A soldier points a minigun at his face. He runs into the wasteland, probably assuming he has minutes to live, except he doesn't die. He survives 210 years as a ghoul, alone. Picture this. The guy who dedicated his entire adult life to Vault-Tec, who memorized every sales pitch, who knocked on every door in Sanctuary Hills, gets left outside to die, while complete strangers get saved by the vault he was selling. That's not irony. That's the universe delivering justice with a sledgehammer. When you find him in 2028-70, he's in a good neighbor hotel room, still wearing that Vault-Tec outfit like it's the only identity he has left, completely broken. And with high charisma, you can recruit him, send him to your settlements. You can even send him to Sanctuary Hills, the exact same neighborhood where he spent his last pre-war moments, the same streets he walked selling vault spots, the same houses where families listened to his pitch before running to safety without him. I'm sure that won't be traumatic at all, but here's where it gets interesting. Once recruited, the Vault-Tec rep becomes a level 4 merchant for trading emporiums. He sells rare junk items that are actually impossible to find anywhere else. Military ammo bags, clean brooms, military-grade duct tape, the stuff settlement builders desperately need. He also sells unique armor pieces, better inventory than normal merchants. So this broken shell of a man who survived the apocalypse through sheer bad luck now spends his immortal existence as your shopkeeper. That's not a happy ending. That's just transferring his suffering from one location to another with slightly better amenities. And then it gets worse. After you recruit him and set up his shop, he won't shut up about his experiences. He'll complain about how hard he had it, how you had it easy because you got frozen, how Vault-Tec kept him in the dark about their experiments. Buddy, you sold people into those experiments. You stood on doorsteps and convinced families that Vault-Tec was their salvation. I'm not saying you deserved what happened, but the universe clearly had strong opinions about your career choices. But if you think enabling a broken pre-war salesman is dark, wait until you see what counts as helping an addict in the Commonwealth. Nuka-Cola enablement, Sheffield, Diamond City. The guy slumped against the wall near the market entrance, not desperately mumbling about Nuka-Cola like a junkie going through withdrawal, which he is. When you talk to Sheffield, he explains his situation with the kind of clarity that only comes from hitting rock bottom. His doctor told him he can't drink alcohol anymore. Severe liver damage. Years of wasteland drinking destroyed his organs to the point where one more bottle might kill him. So naturally, his solution to crippling alcoholism was switching to Nuka-Cola instead. That's like quitting cigarettes by smoking crack. Technically a different substance, objectively worse, but I don't think that's what the doctor meant. Sheffield traded one addiction for another. Now he sits outside Diamond City begging strangers for soda like it's the only thing keeping him alive, which, given his mental state, it probably is. Here's where it gets dark. The recruitment process is absurdly simple. Give Sheffield a single Nuka-Cola and he has a complete personality transformation, like you just cured his addiction through enablement. He suddenly claims he can see clearly, think straight, function normally. Then he enthusiastically agrees to work for you forever, pledging his loyalty because you gave him the one thing he was craving. It's the easiest recruit in the game, which makes it feel hollow. You're not saving this guy. You're feeding his addiction and immediately putting him to work before he realizes what happened. That's not rehabilitation, that's exploitation with a Nuka-Cola label. And here's the messed up part. Sheffield can actually die in settlement attacks. Unlike essential NPCs who regenerate health, Sheffield is fully mortal. He'll stay dead if raiders kill him. So you can recruit this recovering alcoholic, send him to farm crops, and watch him get killed defending your mutfruit. Thanks for the soda. Now go die protecting my investment, living the dream. Oh, and if Kate is your companion, she objects to giving him the Nuka-Cola. Her affinity drops. Even Kate, the drug-addicted cage fighter with massive substance abuse problems, recognizes that maybe enabling this guy isn't smart. When the Irish alcoholic questions your choices, you should reflect, but Sheffield never drinks the Nuka-Cola you give him. It stays in his inventory forever. A permanent reminder of the day a stranger gave him soda and he agreed to agricultural labor for life. That's not helping. That's a transaction. So if giving an addict his drug of choice and enslaving him feels wrong, at least Sheffield is human. At least he has a choice. But what happens when the settler you're exploiting was literally programmed to make people happy and the game punishes them for existing? Robotic depression. Drinkin' Buddy, a modified Protectron in the Shamrock Tap House basement. Before the war, he represented peak pre-war entrepreneurial spirit. Patrick Merriweather, the tap house owner, gutted a Protectron chassis and stuffed a microbrewing unit inside. inside. The result? A mobile brewery that flash ferments mash, serves ice-cold beer, tells jokes, cracks wise with customers. This thing was supposed to work at the Hotel Rexford as the ultimate bartender. Never tired, never drunk, never complains about tips. Except the Great War happened. Buddy spent 210 years in a basement waiting to make a delivery that's 2 centuries late. During the Trouble Brew inquest, you find him. 2 options. Return Buddy to Rufus Rubens like you're supposed to. Or keep him for yourself because you're the main character. If you keep Buddy, he sets up at drink stands and produces ice-cold beer. Sounds perfect, right? Wrong. Buddy is a robot, and robots reduce settlement happiness. So this cheerful bartender, literally designed to make people happy, actually makes your settlers miserable by existing. The game codes all robots as negative happiness modifiers, regardless of function, personality, or purpose. Drinkin' Buddy, despite serving beer and cracking jokes, makes everyone sad through his presence alone. That's not a bug. That's Bethesda accidentally programming discrimination into their game mechanics. The only solution: send Buddy to a settlement with no humans, robot-only outposts. Moist, which means the one robot specifically designed to serve humans has to spend eternity isolated from the people he was built for. He'll stand behind his counter, serving beer to nobody, telling jokes to an empty room, existing in perpetual, purposeless function. That's not settlement building. That's existential horror with a voice module. And here's the final insult: you can't modify Drinkin' Buddy at a robot workbench. Unlike every other robot you can upgrade, Buddy is locked into his bartending chassis forever. No upgrades, no weapons, no armor. Trapped in the body Patrick built 210 years ago, unable to evolve, forced to serve a function that makes people hate him for reasons he doesn't understand. That's the perfect metaphor for Fallout 4's settlement system. Great ideas ruined by thoughtless implementation. 8, leaving everyone worse off than when they started. And speaking of thoughtless implementation, let's talk about the 5 legendary merchants Bethesda hid behind a slot machine. The RNG Nightmare, Tier 4 merchants, 5 legendary NPCs who upgrade shops to level 4, Smiling Larry, the Scribe, Trader Riley, Ron Staples, Doc Anderson. They sell unique items, generate insane income, transform settlements from farms into economic powerhouses. They're the most valuable settlers in the game, and Bethesda hid them behind a random encounter system so frustrating that most players finish without seeing one. Here's how it works. Pay attention, because this is infuriating. These merchants only spawn at specific random encounter locations. 4 campfire markers and road markers with no fast travel points, not marked on your map. Encounters reset every 24 in-game hours. You can hop between locations hoping to get lucky, except the spawn table includes hostile encounters, neutral encounters, traveling merchants, scavengers, and these legendary merchants, all competing for the same slots with equal probability. You could visit the same campfire 50 times and never see Trader Riley because the game keeps spawning gunners instead. It's like playing the lottery, except the prize is a woman who slightly improves your shop. But wait, it gets worse. If you don't recruit them early, they become harder to find mid-game. The encounter system gets clogged with triggered events. The spawn pool gets polluted, which means the optimal strategy: start a new game, ignore your kidnapped son, and farm encounter markers for 6 to 10 hours until you get all 5 merchants. Then you're allowed to play Fallout 4. Totally reasonable design. I'm sure that's what Bethesda intended. Settlement building should be fun. Let's make players spend a workday save scumming at campfires. Let's break down what they do. Smiling Larry sells legendary weapons and upgrades weapon emporiums. The Scribe sells rare armor and Brotherhood equipment and upgrades armor emporiums. Trader Riley travels between settlements, upgrades trading emporiums, and sells rare components. Ron Staples upgrades restaurants, sells better food. Doc Anderson upgrades clinics, sells medical supplies and rare chems. Find all 5? You've got a merchant team generating enough caps to buy everything in the Commonwealth multiple times over. It only costs you several real-world hours and your sanity. Worth it, probably. Maybe. I'm not sure anymore. No, but if you think gambling with RNG for hours is the worst recruitment method, you clearly haven't kidnapped anyone at gunpoint yet. Armed Persuasion. Parker Quinn. This absolute gem can be found near the South Boston Police Department. If you've met him, your first instinct was probably homicide. Parker runs a textbook scam selling charge cards for 110 caps. Claims they get you discounts at Diamond City shops and vendors across the Commonwealth. He's got the pitch memorized. Professional delivery, confident tone, urgency. The salesmanship almost makes you believe him. Spoiler alert, the cards don't do anything. Worthless junk items with zero function. Parker Quinn is a con artist, preying on desperate wastelanders who can't afford to waste 110 caps. And he's smug about it. Call him out, and he gets defensive fast. Depending on dialogue, he either attacks or runs like a coward. Most players kill him immediately. Wasteland justice delivered. Some let him run. Not worth the karma or ammunition. But here's the secret. Nobody knows. Parker Quinn is a Tier 4 merchant, and you can force him to work for you through armed intimidation. Here's how it works, and this is genuinely one of the darkest mechanics. With Intimidation perk rank 3, you can aim your gun at Parker and pacify him. Command him to follow. Walk him to your settlement while he's under duress. Use the workshop menu to assign him. The trick? Crouch and hide before opening the workshop or he turns hostile. You're literally kidnapping this con man at gunpoint, marching him like a prisoner, forcing him into indentured servitude where he'll sell goods to make you money instead of scamming people himself. Is this morally questionable? Absolutely. Is it satisfying? You bet. Is it technically slavery? I mean, you're forcing someone to work under threat of death, so yeah, probably. But here's the disturbing part. Parker never mentions the scam again, doesn't complain about being kidnapped, doesn't try to escape or sabotage, doesn't reference his former life. He just accepts his prisoner merchant existence like a normal settler. No unique dialogue, no negotiation attempts, no rebellion. He's just there, manning a shop, completely resigned like this is a normal Tuesday. And honestly, after trying to scam you for 110 caps with a fake card, Parker deserved it. The universe looked at this con artist and decided career change time. Enjoy your new job, buddy. No benefits, can't leave. Your boss kidnapped you at gunpoint, but at least you're contributing to society now instead of exploiting it. That counts for something, probably. So if kidnapping con artists feels like justice, at least they're criminals who made choices. But what happens when you recruit someone by murdering their family? Vault family drama. Tina DeLuca, Vault 81 smuggler. Unlike most vault dwellers who cling to underground safety, she's willing to leave and work for you. The catch? Her recruitment involves a seriously dark family drama that Bethesda programmed in and never addressed. Tina runs a smuggling operation bringing restricted supplies in and out of the vault. Her brother Bobby is equally involved. Criminal partnership keeping them both profitable. Smart operation for a sealed vault community. Import what people want, export what they don't need, make caps on both ends. But here's where it gets disturbing. To recruit Tina, you have two options. Option 1, use high charisma to convince her to abandon her life, leave everyone she knows, work for a stranger. That's the good option. Option 2, kill her brother. Yeah, the game lets you murder her sibling as a recruitment strategy. Hey Tina, I know you're close with your brother and he's your business partner and you've spent your life together, but how about I shoot him in the face and you come grow my fruit for me instead? And she says yes. She actually agrees. Think about that. You can murder her brother Bobby right in front of her and Tina will still agree to work at your settlements. No revenge attempt, no refusal. She just processes that her brother is dead and decides, yeah, I'll come work for the guy who just killed my family. That's not recruitment. That's Stockholm Syndrome with extra steps. Once recruited, Tina becomes a level 4 merchant upgrading trading emporiums, sells unique items, offers excellent deals. So this smuggler who spent her life in Vault 81 safety, surrounded by functional infrastructure and a stable community, abandons everything for a wasteland psychopath who may have murdered her family. And the game treats this as normal. No trauma, no second thoughts. No dialogue processing the fact that her brother is dead and she's living in a shantytown. Just thanks boss, where do I set up? And here's the kicker. Tina never references Vault 81 again after recruitment. Don't talk about missing home. Doesn't mention her former life. Don't ask about news from the vault. Her entire existence before you gets erased the moment she agrees to work. Like her history just gets deleted from her character file, which fits Fallout 4's settlement system perfectly. These aren't people with motivations and emotional attachments. They're NPCs with names, slightly better inventory, and tragic backstories you exploit for mechanical advantages. Welcome to capitalism in the apocalypse, where everyone's history is negotiable and murder is just another recruitment tool in your workshop menu. So if murdering someone's brother to recruit them sounds extreme, at least Tina made a choice. However bizarre, but there's an entire group of settlers who don't even get that luxury. Families with deep roots, tragic histories, and permanent homes, and with one console command, you can rip all of that away. Forced relocation. Giant location-locked settler. The Abernathys, the Finches, the Warwicks, the ghouls at the Slog. These are unique named NPCs with fully developed personalities, complete backstories, permanent emotional ties to their settlements. Bethesda programmed them to never leave, presumably to maintain each location's unique identity and narrative purpose. The Abernathys are the farming family grieving their daughter Lucy, brutally murdered by raiders, body desecrated. The Finches deal with their son Jake returning from military service with psychological baggage from wasteland combat. The Warwicks unknowingly harbor a synth replacement, living a lie they don't know exists. And the Slog is run by ghouls trying to farm without facing constant human discrimination. These are established communities with long histories, complex relationships, deep emotional connections defining who they are. The Abernathys farm the land where their daughter is buried, maintaining her grave, keeping her memory alive through continued presence. But if you're on PC with console commands, you can bypass all that. Force assign these settlers to different locations with a typed command. Want to move Connie Abernathy from the farm where her daughter was murdered? Type a command. Done. Relocate all Slog ghouls to Sanctuary for Integration with humans who will discriminate? Easy. Break up the Finch family by scattering them across the Commonwealth? Absolutely possible, deeply concerning, but the code allows it without moral pushback. This exploitation opens up 15 additional unique settlers. But let's talk about ethics, because they're genuinely disturbing when you think about what you're doing. These families lived here for years, decades. They built communities, social structures, and personal identities around these locations. Their memories, relationships, and entire sense of self are tied to these places. The Abernathys chose to stay after their daughter's death specifically because leaving would mean abandoning her memory. That's not inconvenient relocation, that's psychological devastation, and you can show up and forcibly relocate them because you decided Sanctuary needs more named NPCs. It's digital gentrification on steroids. Sorry, Abernathys, your daughter was killed here and you're maintaining her grave as your only connection to her, but I'm moving you to Coastal Cottage because I need farmers there. Hope you like living next to the ocean and being ripped from your daughter's burial site forever. And here's what makes it worse. The game doesn't acknowledge this forced relocation. No dialogue, no complaints from settlers about being ripped from their homes, no mourning for what they've lost. They just teleport to the new location and keep working like nothing happened. Because in Fallout 4's settlement system, your settlers are less like people with agency and emotions, and more like sentient furniture you rearrange whenever you feel like redecorating. That's not management, that's dehumanization through game mechanics. It's more disturbing than Vault-Tec experiments when you think about it. At least those were deliberately cruel with scientific hypotheses, however twisted. At least Vault-Tec had purpose, even if evil. Yeah, this is just casual dehumanization, where the line between managing population and playing God for convenience gets so blurred that you stop seeing settlers as individuals and start seeing them as resources to optimize. But hey, at least you get named NPCs instead of generic settler characters. That makes forcibly relocating grieving families acceptable, probably. If forcibly relocating families sounds extreme, at least they're organic beings who can rebuild. But what happens when you recruit someone who never asked to exist? Synthetic childhood. Synth Sean. If you destroy the Institute, this child synth becomes homeless. Nowhere to go. No purpose. He's a perfect recreation modeled after your real son's childhood appearance when he was kidnapped from Vault 111. And because Bethesda coded him as a settler, you can send this artificial recreation of your kidnapped child to your settlements. Call it a family reunion. Think about what that means. You can rebuild your house at Sanctuary Hills, the exact location where you lived before the war with your spouse and infant son, the same neighborhood where you walked on October 23rd of 2077, your last moments of pre-war normalcy before nuclear fire consumed everything, the same streets where you pushed Sean in his stroller and talked about his future. And then you can fill that reconstructed house with Synth Sean, an artificial copy program to look exactly like him, act exactly like him, mimic his personality and childhood behaviors. That's not closure. That's not moving forward. That's recreating a twisted synthetic version of your pre-war life using artificial replacements. And the game lets you do it without commentary, consequences, or exploration of how messed up that is. Synth Sean functions as a normal child settler, doesn't work or contribute, just wanders making generic child NPC comments Bethesda recorded. He'll play with toys if you place them, giving the illusion of normal childhood. He'll sleep in beds at night. He'll occasionally say things explicitly reminding you he's not your son, just a sophisticated machine designed to look like him. "I'm not really your son" becomes a repeated dialogue line hammering home the artificiality. Some players find this heartwarming, a chance to give Sean the childhood he never had, raise the son stolen from you, create some version of the family you lost 210 years ago. They see redemption and healing. Other players find it disturbing. Synth Sean is a constant reminder of everything you lost and can never get back. Every time he speaks, you're reminded your real son grew old and died of cancer as father, leading the organization that destroyed your life. Every time he plays, you're reminded this isn't really Sean, just a machine wearing his face. Every time he calls you mom or dad, you confront whether synthetic family bonds are real or just programming mimicking emotions. And Bethesda drops this heavy option in without meaningful dialogue exploring the psychological implications. No therapy options. No characters commenting on how weird this is. Nothing. Hey player, want to adopt the robot version of your kidnapped son who was used as a genetic template by the evil organization that murdered your spouse? Cool, here you go. He's a settler now. Good luck processing that trauma, the philosophical implications of synthetic consciousness, and whether you're honoring your son's memory or desecrating it by replacing him with a manufactured copy. Enjoy settlement building. The game treats adopting Synth Sean with the same mechanical indifference as recruiting a random farmer, because in Fallout 4's world, settlers are resources first and people second, whether they're normal humans, war war criminals, or synthetic children who never asked to exist. But if you think the moral problems end with individual settlers, there's one more category that makes everything else look tame. Because some settlers aren't strangers you exploit. They're friends you betray. Companion exploitation. Your companions, the people who followed you across the Commonwealth, risked their lives for your mission and trusted you with their deepest traumas. And once you've maxed out their affinity, you can dismiss them to settlements and assign them to farming duty. Let's talk about what that actually looks like. Kate, the cage fighter from the combat zone who spent years addicted to Psycho, used as entertainment for raiders, and conditioned to trust absolutely nobody. You helped her overcome addiction through the memory lounger at Vault 95. She opened up about her abusive parents who sold her into slavery, shared her trauma, chose to keep traveling with you because you were the first person who treated her like a human being instead of a commodity. And once she stops being useful for combat, send her to Sanctuary Hills. Assign her to crops. The woman who fought her way out of slavery now spends eternity farming mutfruit because you needed better food production. She'll stand in those fields forever, occasionally making generic comments about the weather, never acknowledging that her reward for trust was agricultural labor. Piper, Diamond City's investigative journalist who risked everything exposing Mayor McDonough's corruption. She brought you into her home, introduced you to her little sister Nat, shared her fears about failing to provide for her family after their father died. She followed you into the Institute itself, the most dangerous location in the Commonwealth, because she believed your mission mattered. Dismiss her to a settlement and she'll run a trading post, sell junk to other settlers. The woman who dedicated her life to truth and journalism now peddles desk fans and Wonder Glue for caps. Her investigation days are over. Her writing career was abandoned. She's just another shopkeeper in your economic network, standing behind a counter for the rest of her existence. Nick Valentine, the prototype synth detective with pre-war memories trapped in a machine body. He's spent decades solving cases, helping people, trying to prove synthetic life has value beyond servitude. He shared memories of the original Nick Valentine, processing his identity crisis, questioning whether he's really alive or just programming pretending to be human. Send him to a settlement and he'll work supply lines, walk the same routes between locations, delivering resources, functioning as a courier. The synth who spent his entire existence fighting against the idea that machines are just tools becomes exactly that, a logistics robot walking predetermined paths forever, proving the Institute's philosophy right through your choices. Preston Garvey, the Minutemen's last surviving member who rebuilt the entire organization from nothing through sheer determination. He trusted you to lead, believed you'd help the Commonwealth, gave you authority over every settlement, every decision, every mission. And if you dismiss him, he becomes a settler at whatever location you choose, the second in command of the Minutemen farming crops at the same settlements he sent you to save. He'll stand there, working supply stations, making generic settler comments, never acknowledging the irony that the man who dedicated his life to rebuilding civilization ended up as manual labor. Another settlement needs your help, becomes another crop needs harvesting. Same person, different exploitation. Hancock, the ghoul mayor of Goodneighbor who gave up political power and stability to travel with a complete stranger because he believed in doing the right thing. He shared his guilt about his brother, his drug addiction, his fear that he's become the same corrupt politician he fought against. He followed you into Brotherhood territory where ghouls are considered abominations, trusting you'd protect him. Dismiss him to a settlement bar and he'll serve drinks for eternity. The mayor becomes a bartender. The revolutionary becomes a shopkeeper. His political ideals abandoned, his leadership wasted, his trust rewarded with service industry labor in a settlement he'll never govern. Strong, the super mutant who abandoned his tribe's violent philosophy after hearing the Milk of Human Kindness tape at Trinity Tower. He genuinely believed following you would teach him what makes humans strong. He trusted your leadership despite his entire culture teaching him humans are weak prey. Assign him to crops, and he'll farm. The super mutant who questioned everything his species believed, who chose philosophy over violence, ends up performing agricultural labor for the species he was taught to despise, standing in fields, harvesting mutfruit, proving his tribe was right. Humans don't have strength, they have exploitation. Curie, the Miss Nanny robot who spent 210 years sealed in Vault 81 conducting research, as who wanted nothing more than to experience humanity firsthand. You helped her transfer into a synth body. She experienced emotions for the first time. Fear, joy, love, wonder. She trusted you to guide her through becoming human. And once that questline's done, settlement assignment. The synthetic human who wanted to experience life gets assigned to a clinic, selling Stimpaks, standing in the same spot forever. Her curiosity was unrewarded, her humanity reduced to shopkeeper routines. She wanted to live. You gave her retail work. That's what companion settlers really are. Not a hidden mechanic or clever system exploitation, just betrayal dressed up as settlement management. These people followed you into hell because they believed in you, and you rewarded their loyalty by turning them into workforce statistics the moment they stopped being useful. The Vault Tech rep was complicit in corporate evil. Parker Quinn was a con artist. Tina DeLuca Feluca made her choices, but your companions? They were friends. And you turned friendship into unpaid labor because your settlement needed better crop yields and shop inventory. That's not rebuilding America. That's proving the Institute was right. Everyone's just a resource to optimize. And the people who trust you most are the easiest ones to exploit. If you enjoyed this video and want to see what happened to the most evil companies in Fallout, click the video on the screen.